Turkey is partly in Asia and partly in Europe. It's a bridge between the two continents. On the north of the country is the Black Sea, and on the southern part is the Mediterranean Sea. The capital is Ankara, and its largest city and seaport is Istanbul. Turkmen tribes invaded Anatolia in the 11th century, founding the Seljuk Empire, and during the 14th century, the Ottoman Empire began a long expansion, reaching its peak during the 17th century. The modern Turkish Republic, founded in 1923 after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. It is a nationalist, secular, parliamentary democracy. Topkapi Palace Museum exhibits the imperial collections of the Ottoman Empire and maintains an extensive collection of books and manuscripts in its library. About 30 sultans ruled from the Topkapi Palace for nearly 4 centuries during the Ottoman Empire's 600-year reign. You can explore the lavish sections of the palace and see ancient artifacts, armor, fabrics, jewels, manuscripts, calligraphy, and many other objects of art. Mehmet's original layout, which consisted of 4 consecutive courtyards surrounded by high walls, remains. Each courtyard served different purposes and was separated by a gate that restricted entry, and then culminating in the most private third and fourth courtyards. The palace's surviving buildings are generally low, 1 to 2 story structures, and they changed functions throughout the century. So, some of the buildings, particularly in the harem, are not always clear in their purpose. A visit to the palace's opulent pavilions, jewel filled treasury, and sprawling harem gives a fascinating glimpse into their lives. I've made 2 very detailed videos. One is about the harem, and the other one is on the Topkapi Palace. I will share the link in the comment section, and you can go through that if you are interested in more detailed history. So make sure when you're buying the tickets, buy the ticket which includes the entry to the harem as well, because there is a price difference in both the tickets. One is just the palace, and the other one includes the harem as well. The sultans supported as many as 300 concubines in the harem. Ruling the harem was the Walida Sultan. The harem complex has 6 floors, but only one of these can be visited. Make sure that you check out the salon of the Walida Sultan, a beautiful hammam, and then the imperial hall for an audience with the Sultan, built during the reign of Murad III. Nearby is the Privy Chamber of Murad III, one of the most sumptuous rooms in the palace. The Privy Chamber of Murad III is one of the most sumptuous rooms in the palace, dating from 1578. Virtually all of its decoration is original and is thought to be the work of Senan, the famous architect. The restored 3 tiered marble fountain was designed to give the sound of cascading water and to make it difficult to eavesdrop on the Sultan's conversations. The gilded canopied seating areas are the later 18th century additions. Past these rooms is the courtyard of the favorites. Over the edge of the courtyard, you'll see a large empty pool. Overlooking the courtyard are the tiny windows of many small dark rooms, comprising the cages where brothers or sons of the Sultan were imprisoned. Adjoining it is the tiled Harem mosque. After checking out the harem, go and check the imperial treasury and the relics section. You will find the collection of rare books, manuscripts, illustrated volumes, the holy relics of the Prophet Muhammad, and initial copies of the Quran in the relics section. रेलिक्स सेक्शन के अंदर हज़रत मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम और उनकी फ़ैमिली और असहाबा से रिलेटेड मुख्तलिफ़ चीज़ें डिस्प्ले पर हैं, तो आप वो चीज़ें ज़रूर देखिए। अक्सर औक़ात वहाँ पर आपको लाइन में खड़ा होकर वेट करना पड़ता है, लेकिन वो आप मिस आउट मत कीजिए। उसके बाद फिर अगले सेक्शन में जाइए। The imperial treasury of Topkapi Palace has artworks, jewelry, arms, weapons, and more. Don't forget to see the dagger, Topkapi dagger, and the most astounding stonemaker's diamond, among many other prized collections. You can enjoy the spectacular view of the Bosphorus and the Sea of Marmara. The fourth courtyard consists primarily of terraced gardens and pavilions. The Baghdad Pavilion and the Yerevan Pavilion are beautiful. One of the most distinct structures of the fourth courtyard is the quaint gilt bronze Iftar pergola, where sultans would break their fast. Many of the Ottoman sultans had an interest in flowers and gardening, and the fourth courtyard gardens are filled with tulips, just as they would have been during the Ottomans' reign. In 1453, Sultan Mehmed II takes over Constantinople. Then in 1459, the construction of the new palace started. 1465, the construction of the palace was completed. In 1509, major renovations and expansions took place owing to damage from earthquakes. The second gate was completed in 1529 under the reign of Suleiman I. In 1665, a big fire destroys major parts of the palace, and then the renovations were done again. The year 1853 marks the end of the palace as a royal residence, and it becomes the accommodation for ranked officers. In 1924, Topkapi Palace is turned into a museum that attracts millions of visitors today. No trip to Istanbul is complete without visiting the Topkapi Palace. It's a must-visit place. The second courtyard, which is also called Divan Square, was administrative center of the palace. The center of the third courtyard is occupied by the Library of Sultan Ahmed III, which is lavishly decorated like many of the palace's buildings, with painted tiles, stained glass windows, and shutters with mother of pearl and ivory inlay. The second courtyard has a beautiful park-like setting. Topkapi is a series of pavilions, kitchens, barracks, audience chambers, kiosks, and sleeping quarters built around a central enclosure. The great palace kitchens are on the right side as you enter, and it includes confectionery kitchen as well. They hold a small portion of Topkapi's vast collection of Chinese porcelain. The canopied gate of felicity leads to the third courtyard or the innermost courtyard, which housed the private residence of the Sultan and the inner palace school. Only the Sultan, members of his family, his servants, and the occasional approved visitors could enter. Before Murad III moved his residence to the Harem in the 16th century, the Sultan's apartments were located in the third courtyard in the building often called the Chamber of Holy Relics. The collection of weapons at the Topkapi Palace Museum is one of the richest and most diverse collections in the world. It comprises of 52,000 weapons of various origins, including Indian, Arab, Turkish, Persian, Mamluk, Abbasid, European, Japanese, Crimean, Tatar, and Umayyad, spanning across 1300 years. The collection consists of weapons that were transferred from the armories and those that were used by the palace guards. The visitors to the Sultan could only go so far as the audience chambers and were expected to follow strict customs. They could not make eye contact or speak directly to the Sultan, but instead would lower their heads, cast their eyes downward, and speak to the Sultan's translator. In the mid 19th century, the imperial court moved from Topkapi Palace to the newly constructed Dolmabashi Palace. Some buildings of the Topkapi Palace retained their function and others fell into disrepair. When the palace became a museum in 1924, many of the buildings underwent renovation and sections of the complex are often closed for this purpose. The area of the palace is more than 700,000 square meter and just the harem had around 400 rooms. Now it comes under UNESCO World Heritage Site and draws millions of visitors every year.